Hey, how are you? My name is Jonathan. I am with Rene Muñoz Plastering, and today the guys are performing the Stucco demo of this house in beautiful Westchester, PA. Today is day number 3 of this Stucco demolition. The house is not that big, plus we've been working here with a crew with over seven guys. So I decided to record this particular house because we have a mix of 3 different materials. We have a mix of plywood, insulation board, and we also have a mix of particle board, which is upstairs. Basically every gable has a particle board. Okay, so now I want to show you. So I've explained customers that there is no perfect wall out there, or perfect system, should I say. So I want to show you why. As you can tell, over here we have plywood under this window, and this window is actually the bottom part, or the lower part of the windows also is rotted. Okay, so I already showed you that window. So now let's move to the back of the house here, and as you can tell, we have a missing Kika flashing there, and we have a missing Kika flashing there. Both of the missing Kika flashings are creating damage in the structure. We can see here the insulation. Look. So that's because of the Kika flashing the better here. We can see a complete rot here in the plywood. But if we move up, we're going to notice that this window, the seal pan is not even straight, but this window is not showing any signs of water damage. We see dirt, but we don't see any water damage. Why? Because of the insulation board. So let's move over here and I'm going to explain you. This window is basically the perfect sample of the 2 materials. In this case, we're going to talk about insulation board, but insulation board is about the same as particle board. They both, based on my experience, they both act the same as far as water resistant and moisture resistant, and installation and everything. So as you can tell here, this window, the corner, we have the plywood on the right and then the insulation on the left, but the plywood is already showing signs of deterioration. The insulation board is not showing any signs of deterioration as far as moisture goes. You see right here, that's moisture right there. If you take a look to the rest of the window, at the bottom part of the window, we don't have any issues at the insulation board, but we do have issues where the plywood is. Look, all of this water is actually dripping down and it's creating damage over here, but nothing in the insulation board. Okay, so now let's talk about the pros and cons of each material. As I already explained you, there is no perfect material out there. Every material has its pros and its cons. So based on what we're seeing right now, a pro for the insulation board is that it's water resistant. It handles better the water and it handles better the moisture. As of the plywood, it doesn't handle the water and it doesn't handle the moisture as the insulation does. On the other side, the insulation board, when somebody called me and said, John, I have a bulging in my stucco, my first question to them is, how old is your house? Normally this type of insulation and the particle board was used in the old style construction, 80s, 90s, 70s, 60s, even less. And the reason why I asked this question is because if we put a nail through the insulation board, we're gonna actually notice that the nail is gonna go through the insulation board. So back in the days when they installed the metal lat for the scratch coat and then the stucco, they used to do 1 to 3 or 4 nails every 16 inches, right? First of all, they didn't have pneumatic guns, so they used to do everything by hand, sorry. So they only put as little as possible, right? So with the time, the house starts to move even though we don't notice it. The house goes through moisture, goes through water, goes through ice, goes through 90 degree weathers. It goes through 30, 20, 15 degree weather. So that's where the bulging starts. Why the bulging starts? Is because the metal lat only has a few nails to actually hold to the structure of the wall. Actually, I was talking to the customer and he told me that back in the days, like a couple of years, he actually hired somebody to do fix a bulging on the other side. And you will see that that side is, the installation is insulation board. Okay, so back again. Insulation board, particle board, they are very good material as far as moisture handling and water handling, but they are not good as far as structure wise to hold the stucco once it's installed. So now let's move to the plywood. When we talk about the plywood, as we already know, plywood is OSB in this case, is made out of chips of wood glued together and compact. So we already see that plywood is not as good as insulation board or particle board to handle the water and to handle the moisture. But stucco, I mean OSB in this case, when we install metal over this material, we can nail everywhere. We can nail every 16 inches on the 2x4s, and we can nail in between. So that's the reason why whenever we have plywood, we don't have as much bulging as we have whenever we have insulation or particle board. Some architects, whenever I do a stucco remediation, they ask us to do every 16 inches even though we have plywood. I mean, they haven't seen what I've seen. Obviously I haven't studied what they study, but what I do is basically a stucco for living. And based on my experience, 16 years of experience, I know that even though they don't want to nail or staple in between, which is fine and I get it, eventually it's gonna happen what is happening with the insulation board. Based on my experience, no matter where you nail, how many staples you put or nails, nothing is gonna happen to the actual paper. You are not compromising the paper because you're doing 3 or 4 staples more. That's my personal experience. That's my personal thought. Like I said, I didn't study. I just been doing this for a long time. Then let's move to the other side. So over here, another thing. Whenever we do insulation, stucco over this type of material, because the customer really wants a stucco, because we're just doing a repair or something, we use 2-inch long staples, and I'm going to explain you why. We have 1/2 inch, sometimes we have 3/4 of an insulation board, and then we have the 2x4. So by using the 2-inch staples, we're making sure that we're going through the insulation board all the way through and inside the 2x4. And obviously, since we're doing it with a pneumatic gun, we're not going to do only 1 or 2 or 3 nails. We do 4, we do 5, depending on the job and the needs of the job. Okay, so that was something that I really wanted to also explain. This is where the customer told me that they fixed it. Why did they fix it? Insulation board. They fixed a bulging, and you can even see here the insulation board is also bulging as well. Sometimes when the insulation board is to separate, like you see here, that allows the water to actually go behind the stucco and the insulation board, and sometimes the 2x4s are rotted. Once again, everything goes back to the old style construction. Chances are that this house doesn't even have insulation, and because of that, there's so much air behind the insulation that even though this part right here might be leaking and was leaking, maybe chances are the 2x4 is in okay condition because of that air that is allowing the 2x4 to actually dry out. So let's move here to the front, and I'm going to show you another sample. You can tell here that this left part of the window is made out of plywood and it's completely rotted. Over here is all black and it's completely rotted. And take a look to the right side. It's not rotted. Why? Because of the insulation board is handling is better handling the moisture and the water issues. Plywood on the other side is not. Same thing. The right side of this window is all rotted and the left side is not rotted. Once again, I mean, I'm not saying that insulation board is better. I'm not saying that plywood is better. This is failing because of the waterproofing, because of the way the windows, maybe they were installed improperly, because of the waterproofing that they choose. They only did a layer of tar paper. Maybe they could use 2 layers, and maybe they could use a rain screen. But once again, we're talking about an all construction. Okay, so I think that's it. I'm not gonna make this video even longer. Over here, kick a flash inverter, plywood completely rotted. Over here, insulation board, nothing is wrong with it. Okay, so this is Jonathan signing out. If you have stucco issues, stone issues, window issues, siding issues, feel free to call us to 610-656-2461, or feel free to log on to our website at www.muñozplastering.com. Thank you. Bye bye.